Good evening and a very warm welcome to everyone who has come gathered today for the discussion on Welcome to Sajjanpur. Talking Films Online, or TFO in short, is an informal coming together of academics, teachers, students, researchers, filmmakers and cinephiles interested in cinema, more importantly interested in talking and writing about cinema. The online group came together quite spontaneously during the pandemic and lockdown in June 2020. While Dr. Geeta Vishwanath and I have been coordinating the activities of TFO since its inception, people like Sanjay Kumar, Sridhar Modugu, K. Paniraj, Ajanta Sarkar, Murali Krishna, Tarakeshwar VB, Yagnashri, Rasha, Madhurima, and many others who joined the weekly discussions enhance the quality of the discussion. So far, we have organized over 210 events, which include weekly discussions on a pre-decided film, besides a few month-long film festivals and discussions. For instance, this year we had a Farmers Film Festival, and in March we had a series of discussions on Kumar Shahani's films as a way of paying tribute to him. In September, we had a Kannada movie month where filmmakers like Prithvi Konanur and screenplay writers like Anant Chandreya joined the discussion. Sometimes personnel from the film industry, such as directors, cinematographers, actors, join our weekly discussions. Filmmakers often make their films available exclusively for TFO members to watch by generously sharing links to their films. They also join the discussion. So we've had directors like Utsav Gonwar, most recently when we discussed his film Photo, Jayant Cherian, Girish Kasarvalli, Adur Gopal Krishnan, Aparna Sen, Anjali Montero, and KP Jayashankar, etc. During June this year, to mark the 4th anniversary of TFO, we had organized the 4th smartphone short film competition for students between 18 and 25 years of age. And we had a grand award ceremony where the winners of the competition were announced. Recently, on September 30th and October 1st this year, we had the first TFO International Seminar on Indian Cinema in the Digital Era, Continuities and Discontinuities, in collaboration with FCT Baroda. Our aim is to get a conversation going around cinema and to get as many people involved in the process as possible. With all our events being online, anyone and everyone interested in cinema is welcome to our forum. We have a blog called talkingfilmsonline.wordpress.com where we encourage all kinds of writings on cinema. I invite all of you to contribute to Talking Films Online WordPress blog. We have a YouTube channel called Talking Films Online where you can watch some of our discussions. We sometimes go live on YouTube. We also go live on Facebook. TFO is a private group on Facebook. And on WhatsApp, as well as on Facebook, we share the weekly meetings and links. The film for discussion today, Welcome to Sajjanpur, was suggested by Dr. Abhishek Tah. Abhishek is an assistant professor in the Department of English, School of Humanities and Sciences, KLEF, deemed to be University, KL Hyderabad campus. He completed his MPhil on the topic translating pop music for the Bhadralok, creating newer distinctions, and his PhD on the topic tracking translations in 19th century Bengal, construction of identities in and through print, from the Department of Translation Studies, the English and Foreign Languages University, Hyderabad. His research interests include translation and music, translation and popular culture, book history and print history, literary historiography, colonialism and nationalism, translation and identity. A very warm welcome to you, Abhishek, and it's now over to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me here. And a very good evening to everyone. I thank Dr. Nikhila and the team TFO for providing me this platform to initiate a discussion on the film Welcome to Sajjanpur. when Dr. Nikila asked me to suggest a film for discussion, I was a little hesitant initially, as I'm not an expert in this field and I have no formal training in film studies. But I'm here. I hope the audience would be generous enough to pardon me if I go wrong anywhere in the course of my discussion. So, as today I don't have a very structured paper or a PPT as such, but I have some points, some ruminations after watching the film. I basically watched this film a long time ago when I was in my post graduation days. So, and then when I watched this recently again and have been watching this in the last 3 4 days once again, I have a different take on the film, I think, which I had prior. So, as we have all watched the movie, we know, I think we all know the story. I won't uh, go to the gist of the story or just introduce the story here again, but I will just, whenever needed during the course of my discussion, I will just refer to some of the incidents to talk about it. So, as we all have noticed, like the film starts with a satirical note on the name of this particular place. So, basically, a transformation of this particular Indian village named Sajjanpur. And the protagonist of the main protagonist, here it is Mahadev. He narrates his story and also narrates the story about the name and the change in name, and he also discusses how Dujjanpur became Sajjanpur at one point of time when uh, uh, Jawaharlal Nehru visited and he proposed the name to be changed. So, and he also has a very satirical take. He says, when the name was Sajjanpur, that is land of good people, people were actually now that the name is Sajjanpur, people are not so good. But when the name used to be Dujjanpur, people used to be good at around that time. So he very funnily and sarcastically makes a comment about the name. So and hence the name of the title of the movie as well. So so the story revolves around him, and we also get to know everything and each and every character also through him and the letters that he writes for others. We also know that he is a letter writer as well as a letter reader in the village. So through him, we come to know about a lot of different social issues that were prevalent around that point of time in rural villages in India. So here, actually, the story revolves around him and his writing spree and how he wants to be a novelist, but he could not. So, in order to survive, he now writes letters for others and also reads letters those who can't read uh, for themselves. So here basically it's a take on the satirical take on Indian villages, I think, and also this film depicts the social realities prevalent during that point of time in Indian villages, and how a gradual transformation from letters to SMS, and then you get to see in some parts of the film how there are PCOs, public calling booths, and STDs, ISDs, and how everything actually has been coexisting around that point of time. But it was definitely the art of writing letters or sending letters were actually getting insignificant and reduced in terms of importance. Uh, so we come to know through Mahadev and his stories. So first we come to know about the stories of his childhood love, Kamla, and how she is eagerly waiting for her husband to hear, who is in Mumbai, who is a migrant laborer, and how she is actually looking eagerly to hear from him. But there we see how Mahadev tweaks and manipulates the content of the letters and actually brings in some sort of disaster when he realizes. at the end, and then he also tries to compensate for this, borrows money from the local landlord at a higher interest rate, and then he uh, helps the husband who is in Mumbai, that is Banchi, and he somehow tries to make up for his own mistakes. And then we also come to know about the village local politics, or the local politics in villages, and how the upper caste landlords, they actually try to threaten people and put them on gunpoint and get a hold on the local political scenario. So we also come across very hilarious situations where uh, the mother, played by Ila Arun, she wants to basically marry off her daughter uh, uh, to a dog first, and then to a person, because she thinks she is Mangalik or has some problems in her horoscope according to astrology. So, and also we come across a transgender person named Munna Bai, who is also contesting in the local villages, and he's threatened by the opposition candidate, that is uh, Ram Singh here. So Ram Singh is also shown to be a very influential upper caste landlord who has an uh, additional role as a gun wielding political leader. Ram Singh tries his best to remove Mundi Bai from the panchayat elections, but he could not, because Munni Bai was steadfast and she was unperturbed by the activities of this particular man named Ram Singh. So, so basically, we see a lot of issues which were uh, prevalent during those days, and also I think even now in many rural villages, or in general in Indian society. So here I would suggest that, or I think that this movie deals with certain themes which I think I would discuss right now. So one of the themes I think which I came across, or I would like to talk about, might be about alternative sexual orientations and identities, and how the filmmaker draws the attention of the audience to the sensitive issue of sexual identities. In a country like India, where the outlook of the people towards such topics are suspect laden, this comes as a welcome move, I think. And we get to see the world from the eyes of the people who are generally marginalized in the Indian society and who have no voice for themselves. So the filmmaker draws sympathy as well as our concern through the portrayal of the transgender character and the characters in the film. And throughout the movie, there is also a blow to blind beliefs and dogmas and certain religious or social practices and rituals. So Mahadev, the protagonist, often meets the only emancipated young woman of the village of Sajjanpur, who is Vindhya, who actually later becomes his wife as well, as we get to see in the towards the end of the movie. So Vindhya, who is seen driving a scooty like any other city-bred woman. Uh, However, this is not the only truth about her. But being a Mangalik, she is also considered unlucky by the villagers, with the possible death of her husband if she were to marry. So her mother arranges for wedding with a dog in order to get, as I said. So I think various dogmas which were prevalent or are still till date prevalent in India are actually hinted at. And I think there is also a discussion towards the entrance of new technology, I think, and how the coming of mobile telephones actually marks an end to the old world charm and coming of new technology and new thinking. Mahadev, as we see in the film, is often cursing the new technology because this technology makes his letter writing profession defunct. and unnecessary, with people switching to cell messages. We also come to see how even people who have cell phones, they come to him and tell him to type messages from the cell phone. So it also has a take on the advent of the efficacy of new technology and also its entry. So actually, the film takes us through the entire gamut of village politics, with the local henchmen fighting with the panchayat elections, and the local people are torn between their sympathies for the capable candidate and their fear of the local gundas who terrorize the locals. The problem is compounded with the fact that the competing candidate includes a transgender who wants to try her hand in politics as well. So facing death threat and public ignominy, she's also her life is also connected to the stories or the letters that Mahadev writes. So finally, in when she actually faces death threats and also faces a lot of opposition from his opposing candidate, he contacts Mahadev and asks for his help, and he also writes a letter and helps her in this situation. So, so there are various other, I think, themes which are dealt with in the film, like issues related to migration to cities and alienation. And when we saw that Banshi was actually about to sell his kidney to fulfill the dreams of him as well as his wife. So how so that actually refers to the kidney racket and the medical fraud cases that are prevalent, I think, or were prevalent around that time. It also depicts the caste and communal conflict. It addresses the issue of widow remarriage and rehabilitation, and also talks a little about women's education and empowerment and similar other issues. So, in a way, the characters are also very interesting in themselves. I was pleasantly surprised by this character, the army veteran, who is the father-in-law of the woman who is a widow, and Ravi Kishan, the compounder, tries to get married to him. So here also we saw how the caste-based discriminations or honor killings by caste leaders happened, and how ultimately these people could not get married. But this the character of the army veteran is very interesting because he somehow promotes some progressive thought in getting agreed to remarry his widow son in what widow wife of his son, and also he openly supports the transgender woman who was fighting in the panchayat elections. And the character of, I think, this entire movie obviously moves around or revolves around the character or the of Mahadev, and how ultimately at the end he successfully publishes his novel, and how he actually makes his dream come true, and the story takes a full circle, and how he discusses about his uh, changed self, and how he has now come to realize that he should not put in his own words in letters written for others, and he repents all that, and he he's a changed he's a modified version of his own now. So so in overall, I would say that the village of Sajjanpur is a representation of the country India, where all the issues pertinent to the entire country are played out clearly in the form of village matters. In truth, basically, this shows a slice of India. This approach to portrayal of social realities is quite look is very it's quite new, and I think when we recently again watched Lapata Ladies, we could relate this kind of ambience, or the portrayal or the perspective through which villages get portrayed. So some of the critics have actually likened this film to a newspaper, and they're of the opinion that the topics presented here are extremely current, and it reads like a newspaper whenever we open it, and we actually get to see one stories after another uh, in a newspaper. And in general, I would say this is also a film where we see a change in Shambenegal's style. So here, whereas in his previous art house movies, he would be painting stark and bleak realities. He has used a mildly pleasant style here to bond with his audience, and he has also moved away from his art house actors and actresses, and he has actually taken in uh, popular commercial actors here in this movie, and he has changed his approach a lot in this movie. So I think these were just some of the issues which I thought I will just discuss, and then I will leave it to the audience to continue and to take this forward. So I think I don't have much to say now. I would just like to see if others contribute to this discussion.
Thanks, Abhishek. Thanks for flagging certain themes and issues, that the film throws up. The film is now open for discussion. Anyone who wants to come in, wants to begin, you're most welcome. Please unmute yourself and let me know if you want to speak. Just to kind of get the discussion going and others collect their thoughts, I had some two, three things, observations, by way of observations, really, that's all. One is it's only the end that we know that what we have been watching is
Actually, a story,
pages from the novel. Yes.
novel. Yeah.
So when in the first instance, when the letter writer speaks to us directly, I thought it's a very different mode of address.
Mm.
Generally we hear the voiceover
Yes.
narrator, but for the narrator to speak to us directly, so I was thinking, oh, this is the equivalent of a first person narrative that Sham Benegal has used. So in the end, we realized that what we have been watching is the novel that he has written. Also, the character of, I mean, there are two kinds of writing then. One is letter writing, which makes him um, very much involved in the lives of people and also in the politics of the village. It seems like he can set off a kind of train of events. He seems to be such a key figure. For instance, in that election, the letter that he writes to the collector on behalf of the henchmen, the strongmen of the village, and how that turns him off. turns off the collector, and then the letter that Munibai
Munibai,
writes.
Munibai, yes.
Munibai writes, and I mean, he writes for Munibai and how that changes things. And also the letter to Mumbai, the series
Mm,
of letters to Mumbai.
mm,
So, as a letter writer, it seems like he's very much in the thick of things.
mm,
And also, that gives him a certain vulnerability. Uh, People can attack him, people can
mm,
manipulate him, make him do things that he doesn't want to do. Whereas, as a novelist, a fiction writer, maybe he prefers the safety of novel writing to the danger of letter writing. I was just
yes.
wondering at the two kinds of writing that we see, and him metamorphose from one kind of writer to another kind
Another
of
thing.
writer. So that was another point. And third, like you observed, yes, this is a very different style, a very light touch that Shab Benegal brings in with this film. Also, somewhat satirical,
Mm,
not taking itself very seriously. Though it is, as you said, talking about fairly serious issues,
yes.
um, it is doing it with a somewhat light touch, making us.
Thematically, I think thematically he is sticking to his point of view that he generally does with his movies. But in terms of presentation, it's a comic mode. And I was reading one of his interviews today, where he says this is his third movie dealing with comedy. So he says after Charandas Chore and after Mandi, this is the third time that I'm dealing with comedy, and it's not very easy to deal with. That's why I don't go into this genre.
Yeah. It is comical, but it's also somewhat very light in touch.
Yes.
And the hero is hardly a hero. So it's not as if he's propping up some protagonist who will make large scale changes, but even the small things that he does seem to affect large scale changes. But he's self reflexive, so that positions him as someone who is literate in a village of illiterates. That gives him a certain, I mean, one would think that would give him a position of authority, but not really, because he can be pulled in many directions. So quite an interesting. I had not watched this film. Somehow I had missed it. So thanks for suggesting the film. Really enjoyed watching it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else who would like to come in? Yes, Geeta.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Abhishek, for introducing the film. Yeah, I had watched the film at the time of its release and enjoyed watching it again when you suggested this for today's discussion. Of course, both you and Nikhila have already pointed out a lot of the issues that are there to speak about this film. But of course, it is enjoyable and it is, in the comic mode. But I just thought that he had this anxiety maybe to put in every possible issue into it. So it's quite a diffused dealing of the different, diffused way of dealing with the different issues. If you look at it, there are so many things
So
that
many.
he talks about, illiteracy basically,
Mm.
and then superstition and widow remarriage and so many things, migration to the city and or all of that. And but at the same time, the really sensitive issues, say for instance that of caste, uh, somehow doesn't, which is so central a part of most villages in India. And that is something he kind of, seems to stay away from. So, these are just some of the things I thought about the film. And of course, the way Mahadev's character that is a really brilliant portrayal, and the choice of the actor, like Shreyas Talpade is not a star. He
Yeah.
is, he's just like the boy next door kind of a figure, and he turns out to be, manipulative because he is empowered.
Yes.
The only person in the village who can read and write, and so literacy is something that gives him the power to to manipulate and to shape the way the events in the village move as well.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to come in now? Please unmute yourself so I know that you want to speak. I was also thinking of that last bit, when the novelist is talking to the publisher, I think.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and then it's a kind of tying the loose ends kind of moment. And that's when we come to know that Muniba is not dead and she's actually doing quite well for herself. But that tragically, the couple,
Mm.
the widow and the character played by Ravi Kishan,
Ravi
have
Kishan.
been hanged.
Mm.
Yeah, so I mean, we are totally unprepared for that moment. So suddenly it comes upon us in quite a shocking way that these two have been hanged by the village. So
Mm.
nothing else in the film prepares us for the end. Munibai, yes, there is a history of animosity and there is a lot at stake and
Yes.
a reason as to why she should die. But suddenly, this moment, when we realize that the two, and we actually, it's not just a reporting that this has happened, we actually get to see it. There is a shot of it in
Yes.
the film. So I was, wondering what would I mean? Is it like? Is it to balance things out? Yes, there is. While Munibai wins elections, there is also this. Is it balancing out things, or what was the purpose? I was just thinking about that. No, so uh, yeah. So
And also towards the end, when the publisher actually gives him another proposal to publish the letters that he actually wrote to the girl who is married to him now.
oh yeah,
So he says, I had to convince her by writing 40 letters of 10 pages each. So the publisher was very eager to publish those 400 pages as a book. And then he refuses and he says something should be kept personal or something of that sort. And then that's where it ends.
yeah. Anyone else would like to come in?
I also
Yes,
enjoyed watching the film. Yes, yes. Yeah. So I also enjoyed watching the film. And I also, I think one thing I was thinking about as the film was ending, and I think Abhishek has already pointed it out, how we see Mahadev talking about, not having to, I mean, not trying to put words in other people's mouths, right? So sort of how he reforms. And also, I think Nikhila ma'am spoke about two ways of writing, letter writing and fiction writing. The one thing that I kind of noticed was how the film seems to, create two domains of writing. One is communication and one is fiction, because he's writing the novel, and seems to think that uh, emotion should be restricted to the domain of fiction, right? Because he says that whatever is emotional, I'm now going to save only for fiction. And somehow, by default, then it's kind of drawing the domain of communication as a rational zone. So, and this is a preoccupation, I think, or not maybe a preoccupation, but a theme that comes up, because the first time he writes a letter and it is considered successful is when he pours some emotion into that writing. So I sensed a certain unease with, um, communication that can persuade through emotion. That was just something I was thinking about, just an observation.
Yes, Murali Krishna sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening all. Yes, as Dr. Abhishek has told, it is a departure from his filmmaking, the earlier filmmaking. Well, I remember, I think, if my memory serves right, he came to Bangalore about 1.5 decades ago. Most probably, this film came out in 2008, if I'm right. So prior to that only he came to Bangalore, and by that time when he came to Bangalore to participate in a seminar here about, because it was also about parallel films. I think by that time Lagan had hit the screens. I think Lagan came in the early 2000s, I think, if my memory serves right. Yeah. Now in that seminar, he made a very what you call a valid observation from his point of view. He was telling that I think we are in such times where we have to think about the grammar of the film, the language of the film, so that it strikes a chord with the younger generation. So he pointed it out and laid special emphasis on this point. I think might be this is the outcome of his observation. That's what I wanted to point out. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other comments anyone else would like to come in? Arundhati, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I liked watching the film, and what really struck me was that the narrative, because he starts the film when while breaking the fourth wall. um, Shreyas Talpade is directly speaking to the audience, and then after a while, once we enter into his daily life, he goes to his usual place to write letters, and then you are into the village. It's like you are in the village and you are an observer, and nowhere again the narrator comes back. So now it is his story, like that is probably a small clue that it's you're entering the story, which finally unravels in the end when the story finishes at the publisher's office. So then you get to know that it's all fiction, and how he has changed several endings to suit his writing, so he has become a better novel writer as well. So there's the character arc has sort of fulfilled its journey and reached where it wanted to go. And I thought that this is also a movie which talks about fulfillment of dreams despite all these hurdles. And you leave the movie with a bittersweet feeling, like you are not prepared for the death of the couple, but then you're very happy that he has finally gotten married, and this girl is also, Vindhya is also there, and they are finally living a happy life. So yeah, that's what I wanted to point out.
Yeah, thanks, Arundhati. Yeah. Anyone else? Rajan, Madhurima. Tarkeshwar. Yes, yes, Rajan, and then Madhurima.
I have a very small point, and it's a rather comic point, that the whole idea of the dog becomes so important, right? That the dog is taken to the railway station. This man writes about the dog to his wife, right? And also, this woman wants her daughter to get married to the dog. Yeah, so that's something very interesting, and uh, kind of comic also, right? Yeah, that's it. That's the point.
Yeah. Yes, Madhurima, go ahead.
Yeah, uh, I will just share my views of the movie. So the one thing that I liked about the movie is that the way it highlights the power of language, because I felt that the character of Mahadev, the power he gains, whatever authority he gains through his act of letter writing, is actually his power of using the language. So that is actually the power of language and how it can affect people's life. So that is one of the things I liked about the movie. But actually, I agree with Geeta ma'am's point that the movie actually refers to so many things that at a point it feels like it is losing focus on a particular issue. And another thing I feel that there was a scene. I don't know Hindi, so I watched the movie through subtitles. I know very little Hindi. So when this Mahadev's childhood is shown, the teacher is referring to him in the subtitles as an insect. So is it like some kind of caste discrimination, or is it just the way of speaking?
It may actually refer to a caste discrimination, or I am also not sure whether that's the case.
Hmm. Because also when he kissed her, he portrayed it as a scene. So I couldn't understand if the scene is only because kiss is supposed to be a quote unquote sexual act, or is it because a lower caste fellow is kissing? Yeah. So I couldn't get that point clearly. So other than that, thank you, Abhishek, for suggesting us the movie, and it's good to see you again. Thank you.
Thanks to you two for being here today.
Okay, anyone else would like to come in? Tarkeshwar?
No, I think the point that both Abhishek and also Murali Krishna made is important, and this shift and within Benegal's films, and then the reason that he offered in Bangalore are quite interesting. Rarely, I think the art filmmakers have rethought about their way of doing films. You look at Adore, you look at the living legends now, or Girish Kasarwalli, or even the younger generation who are trying to follow their footsteps. The mode of representation and the mode of narration is more or less the same. In spite of not getting audience, in spite of not being able to reach the larger section of the population, they are very happy with the small niche that they have carved out and the fame that they have got through it. I think Benegal moving towards this, and that too in the first decade of the 21st century, and then the reasons that he is trying to give, I think we need to ponder about it. The entire the politics of what we generally call as a third wave movie. We thought it is radical, and some of them did make movies on certain issues which were important at that point of time. But it is also true that they were all state sponsored in terms of NFDC, uh, and then they all won awards instituted by the state. So this somewhere I think it fizzled out to even their radicalness fizzled out to art for art's sake, uh, where they were only celebrating their own minority status and the kind of intellectual power that minority status gives to them. So, in that sense, I think this shift needs to be looked at more carefully. And what Gita was saying and Mudrim was said, there's no center. Why should there be a center? Uh, it's more like a kind of street play where you would like to bring in as many issues as possible, even through a song, even through narrative. I think that mode of mobilization, that mode of communication, and then trying to be more dramatic rather than being neorealistic. I think that is quite interesting, this shift. There are several other movies which have followed this mode of representation and narration, but Benegal shifting to this mode of narration and representation is quite interesting, I thought. We need to dwell more on that. Uh, I don't know whether this film is enough to do that, but I think that is an important point. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I come in?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Just one point. I think Tarakvishwa was speaking about that. Now, I think the seminar which I referred happened some 20 years ago. So, somewhere around 2004 or 2005 might be. Now, that's a very important departure because I think Shyam Benegal by that time came to know the difficulty faced by indie filmmakers about putting their film across to a wider audience. And I think if we correlate it to the success, in a way, the success of Daredevil Mustafa, the recent film which figured here also in Talking Films Online, and that's also in the mainstream format only, the film format, the film, this one, it caters to mainstream audience or it's a mainstream film basically. So I think somewhere there's churning going on. Of course, we have the likes of Photo also. It's a very serious film. That's also there. But parallelly, we see these kinds of films like Daredevil Mustafa, which also raises very, very subtly the issue of secularism. And we know the fate of secularism in today's times. So I think this is a way to attract a wider audience. And I think it's a welcome move, I think. Thank you.
Yeah, and UTV has produced and distributed. I think Ronnie Screwvala
Yes,
is the producer.
producer. And one thing that just came to my mind is like yes, Sham Benegal started moving away from his previous films, I think through Zubeda. It was, I am not sure whether it was in 2001 or 2002. It was released first. So in Zubeda also we see a little uh, transition or a clear transition towards being a little more commercial or just or blending the what we call so-called art and commercial movies, blending these two modes. And this started with Zubeda, and this was, I think, again the next.
Yeah. Anyone else would like to come in? Please unmute yourself so I know you want to speak. No? Okay. If there is nothing else to add to the ongoing discussion, then let me thank Abhishek. Thank you, Abhishek, for bringing back this film for discussion.
Thanks to
I had
you
forgotten
for
about it. Yeah. Yeah, and thanks everyone for joining in today. We won't meet next week. So this is an important announcement. We won't meet next week online. But we hope that you will all be able to come to Hyderabad because there is an event coming up here in Hyderabad, as a result of which we will not be meeting online. I will share the event details on TFO WhatsApp group as well as on Facebook. So we hope to see you in person. So have a happy weekend and good night, and we'll meet online 2 weeks from now.
Good night, everyone. And I thank
Good
TFO
night.
once again for providing
Thank
me
you.
this platform.
Thank you, Abhishek.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you very
everyone.
much.
See
Good
you next
night.
week.
See you, see you, sir. See you, ma'am.
Yeah, bye. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you all.